Okay, welcome everybody. It's our joy to have you all. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. During our meeting, it will be our pleasure to have Mir Imtiyaz Aafreen to give us a presentation on Ibn Arabi titled A Cautious Approach to Reading Ibn Arabi. Mir Imtiyaz Aafreen is an author, academician, columnist, poet, and research scholar from the Valley of Kashmir. He has master's degrees in English literature and Islamic studies, and currently he is working as a senior lecturer in School Education Department, J&K, India. His articles on diverse themes regularly appear in various newspapers and magazines. The main fields of his interest are religion, spirituality, philosophy, and literature. 6 of his books have been published so far, that is Kitab al-Zakat, Naqsh al-Wafa, Hajj Guide, Bodiless Shadows, Kashmir Main Islami Inqilab, or Hazrat Shan Hamdan, I hope I said these things correctly, and the Apostle of Islam in Kashmir. Mir will speak with us for about half an hour or so, and then he's going to make himself available for discussion and questions. So, Mir Imtiyaz, please go ahead and start.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. First of all, it's an honor for me, a privilege that I have been given an opportunity to speak on this platform where I know there are so many great people out here. And I always like to listen from them. And when you are talking about Ibn Arabi, one of the greatest mystics, philosophers, saints of Islam, it makes it more difficult. Because Ibn Arabi is the person that great scholars of our times have confessed that they have not been able to cross him. They have not been able to cross him in his depths because he is very difficult at times. His idiosyncratic style of writing and so many apparent contradictions found in his works, and also his saintly mushahidat, illuminations. These are very difficult to understand. I will start with a small anecdote from my student life. When I was reading in college, I had a book of Ibn Arabi in my hand, Futuhat-i-Makkiyah. And I was puzzled when I saw it because I found it very difficult to understand. And then I consulted my professor, and I thought he had a good kind of knowledge about these things. And when I consulted him, he took away the book. And after a couple of days, he told me that this book of yours has baffled me. I'm not able to understand anything about it. I think it is something about mystical experiences, and it demands a person of spiritual lineage to decode it. Secondly, so many scholars like Murtaza Mutahiri, he once said that in every age, there have been just 2 or 3 people around who have been able to understand Ibn Arabi. And thirdly, I will refer to the philosopher, poet of the East, Allama Iqbal, who one of his letters writes to Pir Meher Ali Shah of Golda. He was one of the greatest mystics of the subcontinent at that time. And Allama Iqbal wrote a letter to him that he is finding it very difficult to understand Ibn Arabi, especially his precept of Wahdatul Wujud, unity of being. And he wants some guidance, spiritual guidance regarding the matter, so that he could make things a bit easier for himself. So as we all of us know that Allama Iqbal was a great philosopher. He was a great poet. He had a great vision. He was capable of almost everything. But then he also struggled with Ibn Arabi. And throughout his life, there have been many positions that he took regarding Ibn Arabi and Wahdatul Wujud. And then Pir Meher Ali Shah Golda, he was very weak, then very frail. And he wrote back that I'm not in a position to discuss it right now. And he just explained that Ibn Arabi is something that you cannot understand with logical mind, but it is something you have to experience from your consciousness. So keeping these things in mind, I think it's always very difficult to talk about Ibn Arabi because it's not easy to understand. And another dimension of his personality is his controversial status in traditional Islam. There are so many differences among scholars regarding him. On the one side, we have the likes of Ibn Taymiyyah, we have Hafiz Zahabi, we have Mullah Ali Qari al-Hanafi, and Salafis of our age, even Ahmad Sarhandi, so on and so forth, who were very critical of his views. Even Allama Iqbal at times was critical of him. But at the same time, there is a huge mainstream, a vast majority of people, including saints, including mystics, including even scholars of the reputation of Shaykh al-Islam, Izzuddin Abdul Salam. There is this Abdul Wahab Shairani. There is Imam Sayyuti. There is Shah Waliullah. There is Allama Anwar Shah Kashmiri. Maulana Thanvi, Shah Ahmad Raza Khan, Fadil Barelvi, Rahimahumullah. And so they had full praise for him. So as we are talking about developing a cautious approach regarding Ibn al-Arabi today, so we have to try to understand why there were so many controversies about him. What are the positive things in Ibn Arabi which should always be coveted, which should always be talked about, which should always be explained? But at the same time, there are some fault lines as well. There are some limitations as well. There are some problems as well that have been discerned by different scholars of the time. So I shall start with a brief introduction. Ibn Arabi is one of the greatest mystics and philosophers of Muslim world, often regarded as Shaykhul Akbar, that is, the greatest sheikh. He is among a few mystics who not only dive deep in the ocean of his individual spiritual experiences, that is, mushahadat, divine manifestations, but also constructed a cosmos of his own. He dares to interpret the ultimate reality from his spiritual lens. He has written hundreds of books on myriad themes like tafsir, hadith, Sufism, philosophy, poetry, natural sciences, sociology, psychology, and whatnot. He is widely known for his magnum opus Futuhat Makkiyah, the Meccan Revelations, Fususul Hikam, the Bezels of Wisdom, Tarjumanul Ashwaq, the Interpreter of Desires, At-Tadbirat Ilahiyya, Mawaqi'un Nujum, Kitabul Asfar, etc. He has written profusely on different themes. However, he continuously keeps on changing his viewpoints, and often it's not so easy to unravel him. Ibn Arabi is also one of a few widely read and sought after Muslim mystic philosophers in our present times. In post-modern digital age, his ideas have gained popularity, and like Rumi, has become a household name in our intellectual discourse, especially in the West. How to engage with the people from other faiths, how to build a sustainable dialogue with other religious associations. Ibn Arabi's views on faith and its forms may be taken as a solution. In fact, some scholars, like the celebrated religious historian Karen Armstrong, in an interview with Al Jazeera, said, I quote here, she said, once I used to be a nun and I left my convent and I thought I had never wanted anything to do with religion ever again. But it was by encountering other traditions, I began to see what my Catholic tradition had been trying to do at its best. And I remember once coming across a quotation from Ibn Arabi, and I was absolutely struck by this. The quotation is, do not attach yourself to any particular creed exclusively, so that you may display all the rest. Otherwise, you will lose much good. Nay, you will fail to recognize the real truth of the matter. God, the omnipresent, the omnipotent, is not limited by any one creed. For he says, wheresoever ye turn, there is the face of Allah, as mentioned in the Quran. Everyone praises what he believes. His God is his own creature, and in praising it, he praises himself. Consequently, he blames the disbelief of others, which he would not do if he were just, but his dislike is based on ignorance. Taking these things into consideration, we can say that Ibn Arabi is indispensable. He is highly relevant to those who have spiritual problems and those who want to find answers to their questions regarding faith. And especially in this age of prevalent age of religious and communal jingoism, if we return to Ibn Arabi, we can become tolerant, we can expand our minds, we can expand our mental horizons. In interfaith dialogue, his views are as relevant as ever. But at the same time, Ibn Arabi is highly controversial among traditional Islamic scholars. Some do not even hesitate in declaring him a heretic, whereas a large majority consider him among one of the most prolific saints of the world. Thus, the scholars are divided in their opinions. There are the likes of Ibn Taymiyyah, Mullah Ali Qari, Imam Zahabi, Ibn Hajar, Rashid Rida, Al-Taftazani, Sheikh Ahmad Sarhandi. Among those who revere him are almost all Sufis from all ages except a few, including the scholars like Al-Sayyuti, Al-Shirani, Shah Waliullah, etc. It is rightly put forward that it is very difficult to understand Ibn Arabi. There are many reasons behind this. One of the reasons is his idiosyncratic writing style, because he continuously keeps on changing his position. So it becomes very difficult to understand him. Secondly, he uses some terms. He uses his terminology, and his terms have a different meaning than the mainstream thinks they have a meaning. So he creates his own symbols, he creates his own terms, and then goes with them throughout the way, and then at times it becomes very confusing for the people. Like recently, there were so many doubts expressed regarding his views on Khatm Nubuwah, that is the finality of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was said that Ibn Arabi had a different view. He has not a firm belief on Khatm Nubuwah, but that's not true. That's far from the truth, because for him, Nubuwah, this term, has a different meaning. And those people who are not well skilled in understanding the terminology or terminological cosmos of Ibn Arabi, so I think it's very difficult for them to understand him. So there have been different opinions regarding that. But if we can widen our lens a bit, it is said that in love, nobody can supersede Rumi. But as far as mushahidat are concerned, seeing the reality, observing the reality, illuminating oneself with divine reality, nobody can come close to Ibn Arabi. He was even called Imamul Mukashifin. That is the Imam, that is the leader of those who can see. Ibn Arabi has a very special position. if we compare him with Imam Ghazali was also a mystic. He was also a scholar, and his lens was also very wide. But there are differences as well. Imam Ghazali, he often quotes from the tradition. He takes verses from Quran, then he quotes from Hadith, then he looks forward for the quotes of Sahaba, and then he goes towards the mystical tradition. And as far as the mushahidat are concerned, those realities that you can see, that you can meditate upon, once you go into the Sufi initiation, once you go into Sufi initiation, you see so many things, you observe so many things, and then you form opinions about things. But talking about Ibn Arabi, he shifted this thing altogether. He expressed his personal dreams, personal experiences quite clearly, and even he put them in his books. And as a result, so many people couldn't understand that. Here I would like to quote William Chittick, who writes in Ibn Arabi. I quote, certainly there were important authors during the previous century who also expressed Sufi teachings with heretical sophistication. But compared even to the greatest of these, such as Ghazali, Ibn Arabi represents a radical break. Ghazali speaks for much of the early Sufi tradition when he tells us that unveiling, that is, the unmeditated knowledge that God bestows on his special friends, that's Awliyaullah, should not be set down in books. Though he does not always follow his own advice, Ibn Arabi sweeps this prohibition aside and spreads out the fruit of unveiling for all to see. So here, Ibn Arabi bases his all theories about reality. He bases these things on his personal experiences. Otherwise, the people like Ghazali used to found them on certain traditional, especially traditional sources. Suhail Umar, one of the most prolific scholar on Ibn Arabi, he writes, our mystical tradition is a solar system whose orbit is Sheikh Akbar Mohiudin Ibn Arabi. The concept of reality expressed by him with all its details and applications is our entire heritage. Whatever knowledge and experience we have of metaphysical realities, it's all provided by him. A great distinction of Sheikh Akbar.
Can you hear us, Mir Imtiyaz? Mir Imtiyaz, I think we lost you. We'll just give him a few moments. Let's see, I think I might be able to call him just to confirm. Mir Imtiyaz, you are back. You are muted now. You are still muted, Mir Imtiyaz.
Am I audible now?
Now you're audible. Thank you. We lost you at some point in time. I'm not sure how much we lost, so we may trouble.
Can you please remind me where we left? Because I was just going on and on.
Going on and on is fantastic. Just start from where you like. It's okay. Just go back.
I was just quoting from Suhail Umar, who was saying that Sheikh Akbar Mohiudin Ibn Arabi, his knowledge of things is grounded on his personal experiences. Whatever he saw, whatever he contemplated, whatever was illuminated to him. And then he interprets the whole cosmos in the light of those precepts. But as far as I was talking about the tradition, firstly, we will go to his contemporaries, Izzuddin Abdus Salam. He had a very mixed opinion about Ibn Arabi. And some contemporaries were very critical about him. They even declared him heretic. But most of the people, they were they had a great support for him. For example, when Ibn Arabi wrote Tarjumanul Ashwaq, that is a divan of poetry. So it is such a beautiful poetry written by Ibn Arabi. But some scholars of the age, they raised so many charges against the divan, against his poetry, that he has, he has expressed his views in a very worldly manner. And there is the praise of women, their physical attires, their beauty, and Ibn Arabi calling himself a Sufi sheikh. So he should not have done that. But Ibn Arabi, then he wrote a commentary on that divan, and his critics were then silenced. Later on, when we see there are so many fierce critics of Ibn Arabi, one of them is Ibn Taymiyyah. As all of us know, Ibn Taymiyyah and his other followers, including our Salafis and Neo-Salafis, they have a particular opinion about Bidah, about Kufr, about Shirk. And obviously, when they saw something and they took some writings, they took some quotations from his works, and then they declared them to be not in consonance with Islamic creed. There is Mullah Ali Qari. Though he belongs to Hanafi school of thought, a great scholar, but he also criticized Ibn Arabi at many places, including his concept of Wahdatul Wujud, his concept of Firaun, his concept of heaven and hell. So he has raised so many questions against his stance. And lately we see there is Sheikh Ahmad Sarhandi. He also even produced a different version of unity, Wahdatul Shuhud, in response to Wahdatul Wujud, because it was very much misused by many pseudo-Sufis of his time. But on the other hand, we have, I would like to mention here two persons in particular. One is Shahrani and another one is Sayuti. Coming towards the conclusion, I think if we declare Ibn Arabi someone beyond criticism, then we are not on the right track, because there are some places are there which to traditional Islamic scholars, there are so many problems. And apparently it looks that they are not in consonance with the tenets of Quran and Sunnah, etc. On the other hand, there is a group of people who declare him as kafir, as heretic, and they don't have a soft corner for him. So I think some people are saying that Ibn Arabi, we should throw him away because he is misleading people, and people are getting misled and they are losing their traditional roots. They are going here and there, and they don't have a set of Aqidah rules. So these opinions are always expressed. But coming to Shahrani, Shahrani was a great admirer of Ibn Arabi on the one hand. He saw him in reverence, he put him in reverence, but at the same time, he mentions Yaqut wal Jawahir is his book, in which he expresses that actually there have been many interpolations done in his works. There have been many distortions done in his works. And then he cites an example. He says that when I read Ibn Arabi, especially Fatuyat Makkiyah, its first some chapters, so these are completely according to Ash'ari creed. These are completely according to traditional Ash'ari creed, which most of the Shafi jurisprudential school follows. So he says that there is no problem at all. But at places we find some statements which seem to be contradictory. Then he gives this theory that probably there have been some interpolations and distortions done in his works at places. That's why there are some contradictions into them. This opinion is also expressed by Reynold A. Nicholson. He also expresses the same way that there might be some interpolations in his some of the works, and at many places he has expressed them. And in Yaqut wal Jawahir, he says that Sheikh Akbar Mohiudin Ibn Arabi was the strict follower of the Holy Book and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he would always hold the balance of Sharia in his hand, and he used to say that the one who throws it away, he will be destroyed. So keeping this thing in mind, there we can see that there maybe there might be some interpolations, and the same thing was also expressed by Professor Yusuf Salim Chishti. He has written a book on Sufism, Tarikh-e-Tasawwuf, and he has talked about it in detail, how these things have taken place. Secondly, Imam Sayyuti, Jalaluddin Sayyuti, he wrote a book in defense of Sheikh Akbar Mohiuddin Ibn Arabi that is titled as Tanbihul Ghabi, in which he puts forward many points. Firstly, he talks about the idiosyncratic style of Ibn Arabi. That's why people are confused. People are not able to understand him properly. Secondly, he talks about the terminologies that he uses, and then people are getting confused about their meanings. Thirdly, he expresses that only that person can understand Ibn Arabi who is initiated into Sufism and who is under the guidance of a Sufi sheikh. Because it is not something that you can understand, it's not something that you can believe, but it is something that you have to see, that you have to explore, as Ibn Arabi himself did. As Imam Ghazali, he left all his lineage behind, and then he decided to explore things himself. And towards the end, Imam Sayyuti also says that there are some contradictions, but we should always remember that Sheikh Akbar Mohiuddin Ibn Arabi was a great scholar, but unfortunately many interpolations have been done to his works. He has expressed the same views as well. And going further ahead, so I think in conclusion, I would like to conclude with an abstract of a book, very beautiful book, The Sufis, written by none other than Idris Shah, who was a wonderful Sufi. And he refers to an incident related to Ibn Arabi. And the incident is about Izzuddin Abdus Salam, Shaykhul Islam Izzuddin Abdus Salam. Let me tell you, Izzuddin Abdus Salam is a wonderful scholar. He is respected by almost all creeds of Islam, almost all the fractions of Islam. He is highly respected, especially in Sunni Islam. He is highly respected. And his opinions and views are very popular, especially in Hanbali school of thought, from which that Salafi school takes its lineage. And in this incident, Idris Shah writes that this incident that Sheikh Izzuddin Abdul Salam, he was also a contemporary of Sheikh Akbar Mohiudin Ibn Arabi. So his opinions mean a lot when he is quoted. So what is this special abstract? Idris Shah writes, I quote here, on a famous occasion, the renowned teacher Sheikh Izzuddin Abdul Salam was presiding over a group of students of the religious law, that is fiqh. During a discussion, the question of defining hypocritical heretics arose. This question is always raised by different people about whom to declare as kafir, whom to declare as heretic, and this question rose. Someone cited Ibn Arabi as a prime example, saying that Ibn Arabi is also one of those heretics who have misled people. The teacher did not challenge the assertion. Izzuddin Abdul Salam kept mum. When his student said that Ibn Arabi might be one of them who is misleading people, Izzuddin Abdul Salam, in this place, he kept mum. And then the teacher did not challenge the assertion. Later, when dining with teacher Salahuddin, who later became Sheikhul Islam, asked him who was the most eminent sage of the age. Actually, this Salahuddin was very close to Izzuddin Abdul Salam, and he was also a Sufi. He was a Sheikhul Islam. He was specialist in almost every field, that is tafsir, fiqh, tariq, nahu, etc. And then he asked him, all alone during dinner, that who was the most eminent sage of our age. And he said, what is that to you? Eat on. I realized that he knew, stopped eating and pressed him in God's name to tell me who it was. Then he smiled, then said, the Sheikh Mohiudin Ibn Arabi. So Izzuddin Abdul Salam here, in his personal gathering with his close student disciple, he said that the greatest saint and scholar of the time is Sheikh Mohiudin Ibn Arabi. Then he writes, for a moment, I was so amazed and I could say nothing. The Sheikh asked me what was the matter. I said, I'm in wonderment that this very morning a man stated that he is a heretic. On that occasion, you did not contest it. Now you call Mohiuddin the magnetic pole of the age, the greatest man alive, the teacher of the world. To this, Izzuddin Abdul Salam answered. He said, but it was in a meeting of scholars, legists. So I'll conclude on this point that Sheikh Akbar Mohiuddin Ibn Arabi is not everybody's cup of tea. It's not proper that everybody might discuss upon him. Firstly, one should be having that intellectual and spiritual level, and then only a person can understand these things, especially the concept of Wahdatul Wujud. So as Izzuddin Abdul Salam said, when you are talking in public, when you are talking with common masses, you should think that they should not get confused. You have to think about them because they don't have a competence to understand you. But when you are silent, when you are with your friends, when you are with those people who are of the path of tariqah, then you can discuss his length and breadth. Then you can talk about Ibn Arabi, and you can then understand him, and you can just benefit from him. So I would like to conclude on this point that we should go to Ibn Arabi because it has a great relevance, especially in this age when on the basis of religion we are shifting apart from each other. Ibn Arabi can be a point of a great interfaith dialogue. We can engage with each other. We can understand each other. We can widen our minds and we can interact with each other. And we can learn from him a lot. But at the same time, we have to be conscious about the pitfalls, about the snares, because maybe we may misunderstand. If we are reading Ibn Arabi we should read them in the guidance of a learned person. Either he should be intellectually competent or he should be spiritually initiated. Then we can benefit from Ibn Arabi and we can protect ourselves from different kinds of confusions. So I think at that I would like to conclude it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a beautiful presentation. You covered many beautiful areas of importance, which will give us a lot of food for thought, for discussion. I think it's going to be an enjoyable discussion, or I hope it will be anyway. Thank you so much. The way you speak, it's also very very encouraging, and you transmit something to us, which is lovely.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So I would like to invite everyone who would like to ask any questions or start any discussion with Mir Imtiyaz to please feel free to go ahead and just start speaking. If I see too many at once, I will pick one of you. You don't have to wait until you're invited. Please just go ahead. If you have any comments you like to say, or discussions or questions, please feel free to go ahead. Otherwise, I will start.
Sure, sir.
And hopefully I will give the bug to other people to respond after I start. I was very interested in a very common thing that you mentioned is, there is the intellectual understanding and there is the experiential thing, which is very, it's easy to understand intellectually. And unfortunately, most of us, we think if we understand intellectually, therefore we actually understand.
Right.
But we don't realize that we only understand a limited aspect, and it's only the theory and not the practice and the experience, or the dhawq, as you sort of alluded to. So this is really why I think you titled it, we have to approach it with caution. Caution means, I think you mean not let the intellect take over and think, I've got it all under control. Because then the intellect will see something good, he likes it, he says this is the truth. He sees something he doesn't understand, he thinks this is terrible, and starts judging it negatively. So what do you personally think about that?
Personally, I think as far as caution is concerned, we should be always very cautious. For example, I will give you one example. We read his book Fususul Hikam. And there is a fuss, there is a chapter on Fassi Muhammadiyah, that is about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then in this chapter, Sheikh Akbar Mohiudin Ibn Arabi, he talks about that he then praises women and then tells us that in women, you can see the reflection of God. And then if this statement is taken by a commoner, by a layman, without proper understanding, without intellectual depth, without spiritual insight, he may go on the other side. He may go for earthly love. He may go after the women, seeing that the greatest sheikh is advising me to do so. So that's one place. Similarly, at many places, for example, his concept about Firaun, about his salvation, that there is a possible salvation for Firaun. But when we take the verses from the Holy Quran, then there is absolutely a different picture. But at these places, I think we need the guidance from some experts like Dr. Maruf, like you, like other who are well versed in this. So we need to be very cautious, because if we will throw these things in common discourse and preach these things to common people, I think problems may arise, and maybe they will not be able to understand him. So it's better to be cautious as Sheikh Sadi, I would like to quote him here. Sheikh Sadi says, Sheikh Sadi of Shiraz, he says, deep in the sea are riches beyond compare. Deep in the sea are riches beyond compare. But if you seek safety, it's on the shore. So if you are on the shore, you are safe. There are so many treasures in the water, in the depths, but if you go into that, you may get lost. So that's why I think that we should be a bit cautious regarding Ibn Arabi.
Yeah. You think we should be concerned with the average person on the street who doesn't have the capacity to understand him?
Right.
And you think we should try to make him understand, or shall we leave them alone? Because we feel that
I think we can crystallize this knowledge. For example, Ibn Arabi, when he talks about God, when he talks about Aqidah, if we will quote him directly, that in Islam we say that everything is Aqidah. If you don't have a strong Aqidah, then you are not a Muslim at all.
Yeah.
If you have not firm belief on them. But Ibn Arabi has a different version. As I quoted that extract that was quoted by Karen Armstrong as well, in which he says something different about Aqidah, that you should not confine yourself to a particular understanding, to a particular Aqidah. You should widen your mind. But I think this thing should be used when we are talking about interfaith dialogue, when you are discussing with other communities. As far as common people are concerned, I think they can learn so much from Ibn Arabi. For example, I will give an example. It is written that once Ibn Arabi was in his home, in his house, and a person came to him, give me something big, give me something. And Ibn Arabi just came out from his house and he handed the house over to him. He said, now, from this on, this is yours. Take it and enjoy it. So I think these virtues, how we can help people, how we can seek knowledge, how we can devote our lives towards God. And another thing is we can tell people that we should not become literalists, textualists. You know, there are even so many things are beyond texts as well. So we should not be rigid. We should not be bookworms. But we should go beyond that. So this is a thing that if is given to the common people, they can also learn a lot. But as far as the texts are concerned, as far as his statements are concerned that are contradicting the basic Islamic tenets, then there we can say that here we do not either we not agree with Ibn Arabi or we are not able to understand. Only he knows, because he was the man of mushahida. He was the person who used to see. Only he knows the context of this statement. So I think common people, because if we read his biography, there are so many aspects. Not only his philosophy. He was not just a philosopher. He was a living saint. His life was an open book. People could see him, how generous he was, how knowledgeable he was, how helping he was, how God conscious he was. What a wonderful lover of knowledge. He used to travel from one place to another, hundreds of miles by foot in order to gain knowledge, spiritual knowledge, even hadith. He was very strong. And this thing is very amazing that in this subcontinent, there are some Salafi scholars like Nawab Siddiq Hasan Khan Bhopali. There is this Nazir Hussain Dehlavi, Dawood Ghaznavi. They have full praise for him. They respect him for his love of knowledge. And he had a good hold of hadith as well. And many scholars have considered him to be a hadith scholar. Even there is Dr. Muhammad Tahirul Qadri. He has compiled a book. And in this book, he has compiled the hadiths, the traditions that have been compiled by Sheikh Akbar. Marwiyat Sheikh Akbar is the title of that book. And he has compiled those ahadith that have been put in different books of Sheikh Akbar. So there are many layers to Ibn Arabi. So everybody can benefit from different layers according to his capacity.
Yeah. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Does anyone else like to please join the discussion and ask any questions or make comments? This is my lucky day. I'm going to have you all to myself. I was.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Salam.
Salam.
You know, here in this platform, we have so many learned people over here. But, you know, I would like to put some observations over here in front of you all learned people over here. And I would like to basically get some answers or maybe some feedback or maybe some, you know, a way out so that we can basically solve these issues in context of what Ibn Arabi rahmatullah is saying and what we are having presently in our, you know, current world, the world which we are living with, which we are facing. In this, you know, in this polarized world, we have a very, very deeply polarized world right now, and you know, everybody is basically claiming that their community, their sect, their religion is superior to one another. So now here there's a very, you know, very critical challenge before us, that how we can balance all this. You know, if we will start, if we will try to basically, you know, convince all in a one go, it will be very, very difficult. What I have observed that, okay, generally, when you are basically addressing a general gathering, that time we can you know, somehow make general reference to Ibn Arabi rahmatullah. But when basically you are talking to a specific group, you basically cannot basically intermingle, because you know what will happen. This I have observed, and I would like to point out one very important point in this case, that you know, we have to address the situation in such a way that, suppose there are large population of world which basically who are the readers of Bible, for example, or maybe Quran, Holy Quran, or maybe Bhagavad Gita. So let's take it that way. We will see that what is the majority of people who are basically doing this exercise. So if we are saying, okay, this much percentage is more, so we can basically align our, you know, actions and studies and research in that group. Let's try to basically, because they are already up to something, let's basically try to you know, just a minute, you know, my gadgets are giving some signals. Just a minute, hold on. So yeah, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
So what I was saying is that let's basically try to capitalize on that. The group which is already a bit serious about changing the things, they are already working on that. Let's basically put the knowledge they are having right now in their hands and try to basically synthesize it with Ibn Arabi's teachings. I think that will be a way out. There will be groups, they will basically try to superimpose their own ideology or their own, they will be doing it in good faith. They will be saying, okay, you read my religious scripture, I will basically, that will help the humanity as a whole. But in that, what will happen, the group that is already doing something, and they will see that you are coming up with some new things, so that can jeopardize the whole, you know, scenario. In that case, what is the hikmah, what is the wisdom? Okay, let's start, let's just a minute, are you audible?
Yeah, we are audible, we can hear you. Yeah, we understood.
Yeah, so what I was saying is that I was saying that let's basically start with that group that's already up to something. They've already started the groundwork, and let's basically try to synthesize the teachings of Ibn Arabi with the knowledge that they are having. Maybe they have not reached up to that level. While they can observe, they can do the mushahidat of the things. But slowly and steadily, when we do it with the sincere and honest heart, then maybe the things will be aligning with our, you know, you can say the teachings we are having from our elders, from our asla.
Yeah.
Now, coming to that group, whose scriptures or their mindset, for example, their methodology, we have ignored for some time. When this group will be activated, they will see the results, and then the things will start, I guess, converging to the one single unified path, which will basically lead us, all of us, to that unified truth, yeah, that ultimate unity. This is my first observation. Second observation is that people, you are saying that people basically have some critical, views of some of the statements or some of the actions or some of the teachings of Ibn Arabi, it again comes to that point only, because they have reached up to that level only, that startup basically with which they can relate. We should not criticize those people, because they are not basically criticizing Ibn Arabi in the real sense. They are criticizing actually their own state. Why? Because they cannot reach up to that stage. They cannot observe. They cannot do the mushahadatas of Ibn Arabi's philosophy, his action, his all his you can say all his what he has seen in his life, whatever spiritual awakening he is having. They cannot see that. So in that case, we have to basically also welcome those people in our with a fully opened arms, hug them, because they are doing something. They have seen something. Okay, God has given them only a limited level with which they can basically relate to. This is what I can say.
Thank you, Abdullah, for your question. Yes, thank you very much. They're very good points. Mir Imtiyaz, do you like to respond to that?
That is the same thing that we were discussing, that we cannot raise questions against the people of the caliber of Sheikh Ibn Arabi, because he is considered to be the greatest sheikh. And I'm reminded of Sheikh Ahmad Sarhandi Rahmatullah Alayh, who, despite having so many differences with him, and even he brought out a new philosophy to his philosophy, that is Wahdatul Shuhud. But he says that I'm a learner from Ibn Arabi. I'm still learning from Ibn Arabi. I'm just involving myself with Ibn Arabi in respect still. But it is a matter of things when some precepts are misused by some people, then he has to give a response, because he was a mystic as well. He was a philosopher as well. So he's saying the right thing, that those people who are already doing good work, let them do it. We should not create any kind of confusion. We should not raise eyebrows against each other, especially our respected revered saints. We should always respect them, because we should be conscious of the role they have played in our Islamic history. They have played a great role. But common people, they can engage with him according to their own levels. Absolutely, that's right.
May I add, please? I think that the question that was asked was very beautiful, actually, because different people are in different places of development, and wherever a person is, whether he's high or low, if he's low, it's not his fault. This is where he's at, and this is God's will. So we have to not only respect, but love and care for everyone, wherever they are.
Right.
Like if we see a little child who doesn't understand anything, we don't compare him with an adult and we say this child is stupid. On the contrary, we treat him as we would treat a beautiful child. I just remembered there's a point that you mentioned, Imtiaz, about the nun. She said that she was going to give up her religion.
Right.
And then she read this statement of Ibn Arabi, which started something like, do not attach yourself to any particular creed.
Right.
I would like to add, I'm sure, correct me if you think I'm wrong, I think Ibn Arabi would even include any particular creed, including Islam and including Wahdat al-Wujud and including himself, because he still sees that as a creed.
Absolutely.
I don't think he would see anybody else as outside of it. So, he said, my religion is that of love, dini din al-hub. He said, so I think with that in mind, we will definitely have to respect and love all human beings equally, but we must also accept the fact that people are at different levels of development.
Right.
So usually when people say different level and people get threatened, they say, what do you think, you are more superior to me? And they start fighting like that.
Right.
Whereas there is a way to accept the different levels of development without it being a superiority problem. I'll just find someone to be muted there. I'll just unmute the ones who are maybe the ones. Yeah. All right. So sorry about that noise in the background. It wasn't intended. So yeah, I think it's very important to acknowledge the different
Right.
levels. Did Ibn Arabi talk about that? That different levels doesn't necessarily mean superiority. It's not an egoic higher or lower.
Here, I would like to add a point, if you please permit me.
Yes, please.
Actually, I have seen many people. For example, they were very often inclusive kind of a mind, and then they raised questions even against their own faith.
Mm.
They came to the brink of becoming atheists. But then suddenly they read Ibn Arabi or someone like that, like Rumi, like Ibn Arabi, even Ghazali. And then they realized and they were connected to the faith. So Ibn Arabi, he is doing a great work by appealing the great minds. All of us know Karen Armstrong, one of the great writers of our times. For her level, I think Ibn Arabi is the right person who can address. But at the lower level, who are on the early developmental stage, I think we need our own, what we can digest. We need that one.
Thank you. Anyone else like to make some comments or join in the discussion or ask any questions? Please go ahead if you have any. I wanted to also interested in the point which you mentioned that one of the aspects of Ibn Arabi that was criticized is that he keeps changing his point of view. Now, I see that not as a negative point at all. I see that.
Right.
I mean, if somebody is learning and growing, of course you're going to change your point of view. You are learning more things. You have now more experience. We don't stay children and we don't stay with the beliefs and the ideas that we had when we were young. As we grow, we learn more. Of course, we're going to change. So to me, that's a sign. It's a positive sign. It's not a not
So it has both the two sides. It has positive as well as because in most of the seminaries they are handing you a booklet of Akida.
Yeah.
And they are telling you that you can't go out of this booklet.
That's it.
So there are both the two sides of this.
So if we don't change position,
and a reading mind, inquiring mind, one who sees the world, one who grows, obviously his position goes on changing.
Yes. To me, I think if we're stuck in a position and we don't change, it means we are stuck. It's a negative point. We are not learning anymore. We're not open-minded. We're not, like you were saying before, instead of saying on the shore, we're not throwing ourselves in the deep water where we can learn something new, So, yeah, life is always changing. So if we really want to be with it, we need to change with it and not be stuck in any particular position. So, yeah. So another point I think maybe related to this is this idea of paradoxes. You were saying paradox. Again, people see a paradox as if it's bad. How can this be true? And the opposite is also true. That's contradictory. It's not true. It can't be correct. There's something wrong with the person saying it. Whereas I see that two different things can be opposing each other and both can be true at the same time. And the only person that can see that is the one who's a little bit higher than those two, and he can harmonize them together.
Right.
So they can be seen as, yes, the sun looks like it comes up from the east and comes down in the west. But there's a contradictory statement that we've learned that it's the earth that goes around the sun. So these are contradictory. So somehow this open-mindedness in human being is very challenging. I think I should also read the comments, the chat. Somebody had a question in the chat, but I'll just make the comments before it. Akib Paray says, good morning all. Thank you, Akib. Good morning. And then Harish Rahman, he said, indeed, Shaykh Al-Akbar stays all above dimensions of our intellect. People of Suluk only could comprehend his discussion in essence. So that's a statement there. Thank you for that. Makes sense. Do you want to comment at all on that at all, Mir Imtiyaz?
Fine, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
He has his own opinion and he has put it nicely.
That's correct, yeah. There's another question there. It is a beautiful question. I'm not sure whether you like to take that on. It's up to you. Mir Imtiyaz, it says, could you please share the concept of fana and baqa in the teaching of Ibn Arabi?
Fana and baqa, these are very common terms as far as the Sufi books are concerned.
Yeah.
Taking from Kitabul Luma fit Tasawwuf, Abu Nasr Saraj to till this date. Sufis have written so much about that. So as far as since Fana and Baqa, these are basically two stations, spiritual stations, which can only be experienced. And whatever we find in books, it is just words.
Yeah.
And actually, Allama Shubli has rightly said that in all other fields of knowledge, first comes the knowledge and then the practice. But in Sufism or Tasawwuf, first comes the practice and then the knowledge. So here I would like to say that Fana is a kind of annihilation. When you annihilate yourself of your desires, propensities, you purify yourself, you do tazkiyah of your nafs. And it appears as if you are nothing, as drop is nothing in the ocean. And Baqa is subsistence. Once going into the ocean, losing everything, losing every identity of yourself, then you realize that I am also something, but I am something only when I have some association with the ocean. So Fana means complete annihilation of self, complete annihilation of desires, self-purification. And I think Baqa, subsistence, that's what Ibn Arabi also says. And another interpretation of this can be that in this life, if you go into Fana, that is, you keep on humbling yourself. You keep on bowing your head. You consider yourself to be nothing. Then your name will be made subsistent. Your name will be illuminated. You will get a Baqa. As hundreds of years ago, Sheikh Akbar came to this world. I don't think he had that much of popularity than what he has today. Even today, we are learning from him. We are engaging in him. We are discussing about him. I think that's also kind of a Baqa. And spiritually, Baqa means when you lose yourself in the ocean of reality, and then you realize that whatever you have, it is all due to the ocean, due to the Almighty.
Thank you. Some people may say something like, if the wave decides to lose itself, it realizes it has always been the ocean anyway.
Right.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Yeah. Actually, regarding this new statement by Mir Saab, I have one query I have in my mind. I basically want the answer for that from you people over there. Firstly, I want to know that, is it possible that, we are human beings and we are at the same time social animals, we are biological beings, we are, mathematicians, we are scientists, we are so many things in one, you can say, one being. So is it possible that a person can do away with the desires, desires in the sense basically, which is basically kept by Almighty Himself in his being? That means he's supposed to basically go by that. If I have seen, I have, if we talk about Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he also got married, and he basically says that going for nikah is one of my biggest sunnah. It completes half of your iman. So basically, nikah is what? It's basically you have one of the aim is also to have your physical desires, your physical should be satisfied also. So is it right that we can say that we can do away with desires, or can we put it like this that okay, we have the desires that's basically kept by Almighty in our beings. We cannot escape with it. Yes, now, what we'll do, we'll say what the greatest people or what the religious scriptures are saying it, how to basically deal with these desires as per law, as per the boundaries, and basically move in such a direction that a balance will be created. We will be the modern man with healthy setup, fulfilling our desires at the same time, fulfilling our responsibilities towards our societies, towards all whole world, and at the same time trying to be in the limits also. So, what do you say about that?
To this, I would like to respond in this way that it is the beauty of Islam that Islam has balanced these things. When we say annihilation, when we say purification of self, when we say about controlling one's nafs, propensities, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to shun away everything. It means that we have to keep them under the bounds of Sharia. We have to keep them under control. We have, as Rumi puts it somewhere, that be in this world, but not be of it. You have to be in this world. You have to live with people. You have your relationships. You have your social interaction. Go with them, no problem at all. But it should not, as Quran says, your awlad, your azwaj, they should not become a fitna for you. Fitna means a test. They should not become a test for you. You should not just live for them. They are. This is a real. You have to be sociable. You are commanded to be good with them, because it's mentioned in the hadith that those among you are the best who are good to their family. So we have to take care of them. But at the same time, we have not to become slaves of these things. We have to keep our desires under control. And obviously, if we transgress, that's not the right thing. Wallahu la
Wallahu
I'm not
alam.
reminding of the
Mashallah.
word. So it means that we have not to transgress. We have to be Wallahu la yuhibbul mu'tadin. God doesn't love those who transgress. So we have not to transgress. We have to be within limits. And as far as the Sufis are concerned, it seems sometimes that they are leaving everything behind. No, that's not a fact. For example, if we see the saint of the friends of God, Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, Rahmatullah Alayh, he had many wives. He had dozens of children, and he, gave them proper education, and they became the awliya of their times. So we have to go with these things, but first right which we have, and that belongs to our Lord, we have not to sell off our soul, because firstly priority should be to our deen, priority should be to our Lord.
I would like to say something over here. Shah Waliullah says that there are two approaches in this context. One approach is of those who have got very high aims. He calls them muta'alliqeen or mustashriqeen, who want direct this thing, mushahida, etc. They deny the demands of the self. They deny the self. But for the majority of the people, it is necessary that the self should be subjected to higher authority. And of course, ultimately, the higher authority is the Sharia. That is the highest authority. But the intellect, metaphysically speaking, the intellect is the higher authority. So according to him, there are two approaches. And it depends for the very select few who aim at direct unveiling in this life itself, they deny the self. But for the great majority, spiritual development and spiritual realization requires that the desires should be subjected to a higher authority. This is what Shabrullah has to say with regard to it.
Thank you,
Good.
Dr. Yusuf Amin. Thank you. Mir Imtiyaz, did you want to say something?
No, I just want to say this thing that these great scholars of Islam, these great saints of Islam, obviously they are, as I am reminded of Allama Anwar Shah Kashmiri. He writes in his commentary of Sahih Bukhari, he once writes that kullu fannin rijalin, in each field there are different experts. If we have spiritual problems, if we are going spiritually down, if I want to conquer my anger, if I want to conquer my lust, if I want to conquer my desires, then obviously I need to visit a Sufi sheikh. If I have some problem in Salah, Namaz, if I have some problem for that, I can go to a jurist. So similarly, there are different levels of understanding. We should benefit from all of them. And it is, as you told some time ago, that we have to make it a harmony of everything. And we have to be an organic whole. We have a spiritual dimension. We have an intellectual dimension. We have other dimensions. Social dimensions are there. Economic dimensions are there. So we have to harmonize them, and we have to learn from these great saints of Islam.
Thank you. In my, if you don't mind me sharing my personal experience and what I've read and understand about desire, there really are two types of desires, if we like to put them this way. The desire for limited things in this world, like a car, a house, a wife, etc., these things. These are beautiful and you get a temporary satisfaction, but it's not fulfilling. It's not everlasting. It just lasts for a certain period of time, and then it's no longer satisfactory. Then we want next and the next desire. So we can go on in the next desire until we never finish. We're stuck in desiring and desiring, and we're still unfulfilled, except for a tiny period of time. We may feel fulfilled or satisfied for a few minutes or a few days or a few hours. But the desire for God, or the understanding of the experience of the unity of being, is a fulfilling desire.
Right.
It's like going to the infinite, and you have the infinite with you, not something finite. So in that sense, that desire is a very positive desire. It's a beautiful desire. It's not against. It's it's either the desire is with nature or egoic against nature. If it's against nature, reality is going to be against you. If you're desiring something against reality, then reality is going to come against you. So this is the trick, if you like, or the challenge we have as human beings.
Here I am reminded of a hadith mentioned in Sahih Bukhari. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he once said that if the Son of Man had one valley of gold, he would desire for the second one. If he had the second valley of gold, he will desire for the third one.
That's right.
So it's an unending process. We have to keep them under the ambit of Sharia, and I think that's where our salvation is. But at the same time, the desire of the love of God, His blessings, His ayat, His signs, which are found in this universe. If one has desire for those things, it's always a positive desire.
Yeah.
The desires which Mr. Frank has called the first type of worldly desires, in Islam they are called as hawa nafsani.
Absolutely.
The desires of the lower self.
Say it again.
So,
what are they called?
Hawa nafs. Hawa-un nafs.
Uh-huh.
Hawa-un nafs.
Haba.
The unacceptable desires of the lower soul. That is hawa-un nafs. So desire can have many locations, and it is the desires of this location, that is hawa-un nafs, which are our concern when we talk of desire without any qualification. They are of concern. Otherwise, If we use the word desire linguistically, then in certain contexts, such as desire of God, etc., that is very uh, commendable.
Commendable.
Yeah, because it's not only Sufis, many religious traditions put down desires as a bad thing. I mean, we can desire to look after our children and wives and family. God, I'm sure, wants us to do that. We're not just doing it selfishly. Even desire for fana is a beautiful thing, because how else can you get baqa without fana?
Right.
So you look like you're desiring your annihilation, but you are at the same time desiring to reach a point where you deserve everything.
Right. As I sometime back, I read in Kashf al-Mahjub of Ali Hijweri, rahmatullahi alayh. He gives the statement of a Sufi saying, "I desire that I desire nothing." मैं ये चाहता हूं कि मैं कुछ न चाहूं.
And that is still a desire.
Absolutely.
It's like Socrates, is it, that who said, I know that I know nothing.
Right.
So people
Absolutely.
think he doesn't know anything. He's not saying that. He says,
Right.
I know that I know nothing. So
Nothing.
he's giving more emphasis on knowledge. But the nothing he's referring to is not the nothing that the average person thinks. It's
Right.
it's a nothing like fana. Okay, anyone else like to have any questions? Make any comments? Please go ahead.
In order to be successful, I want to jump in before others.
Very good.
May I
That's
have
what we want.
Thank you very much. A few minutes. I want to talk with reference to the title of this talk, that is cautious reading of Ibn Arabi. So this adjective cautious, in Islamic society, the scholars have described two levels of this caution. One level is for the general persons. So for the general persons, that caution is enough, that Ibn Arabi, or for that matter any other person, whether he has been accepted by other venerable authorities down the ages, that should be sufficient for the ordinary person. And then he or she does not need to go into arguments for justifying, first of all, defining what is the correct position of Ibn Arabi, and then justifying it. And they should also not go into details. They should just venerate Ibn Arabi. They should not take position on this or that opinion of Ibn Arabi. This is for the general people, how caution translates. But for those who have the ability, then of course there should be arguments. And these arguments should be, firstly, what is the actual position of Ibn Arabi? That also requires a lot of study. And then the second issue is justification of the actual position of Ibn Arabi. So that requires arguments. With regard to the second or higher caution or cautiousness, I would like to say that the first thing which it needs is a very sure reference, that we have to make certain decisions, and for decisions we need references. So the highest reference is the revelation of God. That is the highest reference, and it is immediately followed by metaphysics. These are the highest reference. So it is very important for one to be well versed in revelation, and then well versed in metaphysics also. It is my personal experience that if we have a good, simple, propositional, commonsensical understanding of traditional philosophy, particularly metaphysics, such as Darajat-e Wujud, the levels of existence, or the Tanazzulat-e Sittat, the six descents, if we have even a commonsensical knowledge of such things, then it becomes quite easy to understand in a very satisfied manner the opinions of Ibn Arabi and their justification. What is the opinion as well as the justification? It is quite apparent if one has proper grounding in even commonsensical readings of traditional philosophy and metaphysics, and of course, the Islamic sciences, that is the tafsir, hadith, fiqh, and Islamic history, sirat. So this is for arguments to be cautious at the level of arguments, and then not in an ijmali manner, but in a tafsili manner. For that, we need a strong grounding both in revelation as well as metaphysics. And as a Chinese saying goes, one cannot have a garden in one day. So that requires a long period of time. At least one's entire youth should be devoted, or if one has woken up late, then another few years should be devoted to the study of revelation on the one side, and traditional philosophy and traditional metaphysics on the other side. So that will give the anchor or the referent or the framework for deciding that this is the position of Ibn Arabi. There are many understandings, but this is the position, and then the justification of that position. We can be more sure if we have good grounding in revelation on the one hand, and in traditional philosophy and metaphysics on the other hand. But both these disciplines, whether it is Islam or revelation or metaphysics, that will soon require subjective judgment. So as soon as we say subjective judgment, as soon as we say intuition, we have to add one relationship, and that is of a healthy heart. It is not the subjective judgment of every person which is dependable. Rather, it is the subjective judgment of a healthy heart, which is required. So I am reminded of one letter of Hazrat Mujaddid Al-Fisani, Sheikh Ahmad Sarhandi, where he says that three things are very important. The first thing is Aql Kamil, that is the intellect, the perfect intellect. One should have a perfect intellect. The second thing is a healthy heart. And the third thing is true faith. So what I just said, it relates to each of these things. So for the general people, it is sufficient to inquire whether the other venerable authorities down the ages, what is their opinion about X, Y, or Z? But at a tafsili level, at the level of arguments and details, then one requires a few things. That is the grounding in revelation and metaphysics, then a healthy heart, which has got its own requirements. I don't want to go into those details. A healthy heart, and then Aql Kamil, that is a perfect intellect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Yusuf Amin. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Well, we're getting close to the time that we probably will finish, an hour and a half. But I want to allow, if anybody wants one final question, please, if you have anything you want to say and you don't want to miss out, please go ahead and ask your question or make a comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to say my heartiest thanks to all of you. Though, sorry I couldn't attend from the beginning, but I did enjoy the listening. So it's a very beautiful discussions, and really appreciate the contribution. Dr. Yusuf Amin and also Mir Imtiyaz. All this very fruitful discussion. So really appreciate all the good contribution. Yes.
Thank you, Nur Alam.
I think it is needed for our subcontinent, especially there are still debates going on that Ibn Arabi had some faults in his philosophy, and that's what some people need to correct it. So that's the, sometimes they say that they project Mujahid al-Fasani as a reformer because he reformed Ibn Arabi. Not only the Islamic Aqidah system, he fixed Ibn Arabi because Ibn Arabi had flawed, and that's how some of the scholars in our subcontinent projected Mujahid al-Fasani in his reformist agenda, though that's not what Shah Waliullah Dehlevi said. So that he brought harmony. He brought harmony in wujud and shuhud. So that part not many understood. So of course shuhud is another level of understanding wujud. Um, that's the part Mujahid al-Fasani added, but other people projected it in differently and colored it differently. And so yeah, so this kind of discussion will help our community, especially the scholastic community, the people who try to understand Islam. Sometimes they're too much theological, not metaphysical knowledge at all. So that's where they get stuck. And also the colonial framing, because what happened is this SAQ Husseini, he wrote a book about Ibn Arabi, a pantheistic Ibn Arabi. But Ibn Arabi was never pantheistic. So he's misinterpreted some of the translation done by Afifi and also Palacio. So because they started, Palacio is from Spain, and at that time, Orientalists were mostly colonial mindset. So they wanted to create a friction between Sufism and real Islam. And that's why they framed Ibn Arabi that way. But of course, our English spoken learned people didn't understand the perspective they had. As a result, even Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, such a famous scholar, he couldn't understand. He blamed Ibn Arabi for diluting Islam, and of course they're saying that Akbar adopted his Din Ilahi from Ibn Arabi, and some people blame Ibn Arabi for Buddhism because all Mughal people were influenced by this Khan community from the Genghis Khan's inheritance. So because they are Buddhist, maybe we are Buddhist too. So yeah, that Ibn Arabi was influenced, or his disciples are influenced by Buddhism. But instead of their forgetting that Ibn Arabi was a awliya Allah, and his knowledge is ilm ladunni. He himself said that I didn't write anything from my akal. I wrote it, whatever knowledge was given to me. And even this famous book, which is the Fusus al-Hikam, that book, he himself saying that I even didn't arrange the chapter. Because if you arrange the chapter according to the historical prophets, there will be Solomon will not be after Jesus or Jesus. So there is a sequence different in the Fusus, and there was no prophet like Khalid. So, but this was the book given to me in my dream to prophet. When a prophet gave it to him, and he's an awliya, and he said that. But people didn't believe him because prophet himself said that if you see me in dream, you see me. Nobody can take my form, even in the dream. So if that is the case, and from an awliya, this has been said, other people just thinking in their head, in their brain, not thinking in terms of metaphysical knowledge, in terms of their heart. So heart-centric knowledge versus brain-centric knowledge is the dispute here. So anyway, I see here Abdul Hakim, Bhai, thanks for joining. So yeah, he wrote some question. So
he
thanks.
Sorry,
Yeah.
he just wrote a comment about if you want to learn the philosophy of Ibn Arabi, may Allah have mercy on him, you can read the book of Shah Waliyullah Muhaddis Dilavi. May Allah have mercy on him.
Yeah, I think this book is very good.
Hama'at,
Yeah,
very useful. Is this Arabic or English? Or
it's Arabic book. Yeah, it's Arabic book.
Urdu, Arabic.
These have been translated into Urdu as well
Uh-huh.
in Majmui Rasail Shah Waliullah Muhaddis Dehlvi.
Which book?
These risalas, the Hamat, Lamat,
No. To which book you are referring? Lamat, Hamat,
Lamat.
etc. Okay, Lamat. Okay.
Yeah.
That monograph of Shah Waliullah, which compares Ibn Arabi and Mujaddid Al-Fisani. Someone told me it is Maktub-e Madani. The title of that risala is Maktub-e Madani. And Maktub-e Madani, and that is also in that risale Shah Waliullah, translated by, published by Shah Waliullah Institute by Ataur Rahman Qasmi.
Right.
Okay, so I think
Yeah. Tanvir is not yet in translated in Bengali, no. Yeah, because Tanvir wrote it in Bangla. Yeah, I see some Bangladesh people join in this discussion. That's a good sign, Alhamdulillah.
I was trying to understand this language. Glad that you did.
Yes. Maybe he wrote it to me then.
He must have written it to you, yes.
Okay.
You have a special group going on there in the background.
Yeah, no, that's very good. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, I said before that was the last question, but you did not ask a question, Nul Alam, so I want to just repeat that one more time. Anyone has any questions before we close? Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and thank you so much, Mir Imtiyaz. You have got everybody excited, and that is one of the functions of this, is to get us excited. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, and also Din Diraji, many thanks.
Yes, thank you, Dean.
Yeah, thank you, Dean.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. It was a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing you again, everyone, in the future. If anybody has someone who you like to invite to speak to us next month, I have the slot empty at the moment. I have the one after that full for October, but for September it's currently empty. So does anyone like to talk, or does anyone know someone who would like to talk about any aspect of Ibn Arabi? If you have, or if you know someone, please think about it and write an email or a message in WhatsApp for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Muhammad Farooq, I gave the address to Frank, so you can write to Muhammad Farooq. He recently gave a lecture in MIAS, UK, and he is a associate professor in Cincinnati University in New York. Yeah.
Muhammad Farooq. Okay.
Yeah.
I will. Okay. Did you send me his email? Did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
You sent me an email. Thank you. Okay. Lovely. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you, Mir Imtiyaz, again for a lovely session, a beautiful presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mir.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.